So yeah, we mentioned Seymour Mattis. He's been around for a while. You mentioned a few other names. What about the building itself? Was there any problems with the building?
I think our supplementary school, going back, it was very vibrant at one time, and we did achieve a lot. We had thousands of young people.
You're one of the few sector schools, or supplementary schools, that actually had their name on the building.
Yeah.
So others were working from sometimes in the front, the bedroom, the lounge, or little small halls. But you had your own building with your name on the front, and that is something.
Yeah, but in terms of that's the organisation itself.
But it wasn't just
because we do several.
It wasn't just a supplementary school. We did adult education as well.
Yeah. We did adult education, we did a lot of work with families, we did a lot of work with women who were experiencing like domestic violence. We had a counselling project. We did too numerous to mention. We were just trying to do a tabletop book, for ourselves in terms of one way of celebrating. And I was just looking back and had forgotten some of the things that we had done, so we were just trying to put that in some, order for ourselves. But we still have the building, and we are fortunate in so far as we don't have to pay any rent anywhere, and we don't.
Rent?
No.
How do you manage that?
So
I'm going to move in.
and so I think over the years, although we haven't had money and funding, I think because we have a roof. And we are a lot more fortunate than a lot of other people.
So how come you're not paying rent?
Because I think somewhere along the line we have to try to maintain a freehold on the building, as opposed to,
Yeah, of course, yeah. Was there help from the local authority?
No, local authority, no. It's the good old, bad old other organisations that's been around but should remain nameless.
You was getting no funding from the local authority?
At one point we got funding, but not for the supplementary school part of things,
okay, yeah.
Over the years, through hard work and dedication, and I think when local authority themselves began to recognize the value of supplementary education, we did get some funding for a little while. But unfortunately, we always had a small charge, and
How small?
Small as £5 an hour was the last cost that we had recently.
Do you remember how much it was in the 80s?
When we started off, I think it was like £15, £20 a month.
A month?
Yeah, and things like that. Because I think people were more generous with their time, and they gave of their time, some of them, and then others you pay their travel and things like that.
But costs rise.
Yeah, the overheads really.
Yeah, of course.
And you can't always exploit people's goodwill.
Well, definitely not with supplementary schools, because it's hard enough. Yeah. It's hard enough getting parents to bring their children in the first place. So it's got to be really cost effective.
I think recently, in the early days, parents were more willing, because they could see the damage that were being done to their children, and the lack of, some kind of quality education that they were receiving. And so we had at times over 100 children on a Saturday morning. That's in good. The early days. In the summer school we had 125, and things like that. We used to run an Easter project as well, just to compensate for them being at home.
So you covered all the holidays?
Yeah, I think we would more say, in terms of the supplementary school, we were pioneers in summer education program, because as I said before, that's how we started, with a summer school as opposed to a Saturday school. Started summer, and then we did the Easter holidays, and we tried to do half-term things, we did after school things, we did numerous,
Okay, and during the summer, Was it throughout the 6 weeks or part of it?
We did 5 weeks because the teachers, most of our teachers came from mainstream education and we felt they needed a break. So we didn't use all their energies during the week. What we did was for 4 mornings each week, they had the key skills, as they call them now, the numeracy and literacy things. And every afternoon was cultural activities, trips to places of interest, and workshops on various things. And on a Wednesday, to break up the week, they went out. We took them on a trip somewhere. We taught some people to swim. We taught them to ride bikes. We did lots of stuff that I think people are doing now. As we might say in the game, we've been there, done it, and got the T-shirts to show for it. So we did a lot of those things in the early days, really. We run training for parents in terms of themselves who wanting to get back into education, wanting to help with their CVs, and things. And it was good to know that, and how to help their children with the maths, because a lot of parents were saying they don't understand the way, maths
they keep on changing.
And stuff.
I haven't got a clue what they're learning now.
And so we did workshops for them as well, and it's good that numbers of them went on to do further studies. Some of them ended up getting degrees and jobs and stuff. Yeah, we linked up with some universities.
Do you remember which ones?
We had people from Birkbeck was running classes for adults with us. We had people from what is now Metropolitan University. We had we have Hackney Community College who we were partners with, and they run courses for us. Key skills and other things like that.
So you was well ahead of the game, because only recently that secondary schools are just starting to link up with universities, and you've been doing it for quite a while.
Yeah, and we
well ahead of the game.
We did workshops in some schools and various other things. So I'm saying, and we also, some people may not admit to it, but we have been approached on numerous occasions where people have come to us in terms of what is now seen as best practice. It was like, can we have a sample of because we were well organized lesson plans, and procedurally we had lots of things in place, and so we had people visit us from abroad and out of London and different places, looking at things that we do and how we engage with our community. And
you're famous.
I wouldn't say we're famous. We try to keep a low profile. Maybe it's not always good, because we know, sometimes when you raise your head too high, there's people ready with, as if you're in a fun fair, to shy you off like a coconut. So
if we don't raise our head, we don't spread the word far and wide.
I think we do, but there are people who, some people do underground tunneling, some people do.
Hey, some of these underground tunnels are necessary. Speak to Harriet Tubman.
So therefore I know from a visible marketing point of view, maybe we are not that, but I suppose the race is for not always the swift, but those who endure it.
So most of the people sort of came to use your services, like word of mouth and family and friends.
Yeah, and refer, because let's face it, in the early days we had a lot of trouble with a number of mainstream schools.
You had trouble with mainstream schools?
Yeah. I had several phone calls at times, people asking us, who do we think we are? I'm thinking that we know things about education, and so I said, I remember saying to one lady at one time, well, lady, if you think we don't know the teachers, one of the teachers I think was in that particular school, so
Shame.
it was, I said, they're teachers from main school, they're as educated as you are, and there were time I find myself having to go to head teachers conferences and trying to explain to them what we do. And one, I remember one head saying to me, so why do you think that I would sign, they weren't using word like signpost, it would encourage any of my pupils to come to you for education. So I said, well, I'm not telling you. I said, if we are all wanting the same thing and the same outcomes, I said, what I would suggest is that see us as a doctor. And if you think you are offering scientific medicine, we are doing alternative practice. And so then therefore, if you've tried the scientific, and it doesn't work, then you try the alternative. And if the outcomes are the same, I said, she said, well, what would that say about me? If, I said, it wouldn't say anything about you, apart from the fact that you want the best outcome for the children in your school. So we've had lots of, ups and downs, but over the years, I think we've built up some mutual understanding and working, because there were times when we were accused of having hidden agenda. The only agenda we have is about educating our people or helping to educate our families, and so that's what we've been trying to do over these years.
And what about now? Do you have cooperation with mainstream schools in the local area?
I think recently, with another initiative that we had, we were able to work in some schools in the borough, offering some family support where there were difficulty with parents and children engaging with the school in one way or the other, or if they felt they needed some support in, because not just leaving the kids at the school gate, but we were fortunate in getting a contract from local authority to assist us, and so we worked in some schools. We also had a partnership with a secondary school whereby some of their children, young people who were identified as, having the potential, but they, and so we worked with them again in that we had, where we've given best practice to organizations that again may remain nameless and to put on their website, and sometimes you don't always get credit for anything, but I think more than most, some of the women who are on the management committee of the organization have been there for a very long time, and when there have been difficult times, they've been very, very supportive. People like Claudia and Colleen, and they all.
Yeah, name them, praise them.
Yeah.
And then you had a fire.
Yeah, we had a fire.
When was this?
That was nearly 2 years now.
Is it 2 years?
Time flies, isn't it?
Longer than that.
No, it's 2 years this summer. We had the fire. And was wee hours of the morning. Fortunately, no one was in the building, but it really knocked us a bit, because like a lot of things that we had, archives and things in the basement, and those things were destroyed.
Oh no!
But fortunately for us, we did. I'm a hoarder, and we kept some things in the office upstairs, so we were able to, I think, put together some semblance of some things. But in terms of the numbers of children, we were looking to have a reunion, and we set up it was a Facebook page my son had done, just to have a kind of, the way young people communicate with one another these days. So trying to reach out to young people who pass through, because we were fortunate that some parents who had received what they see as a very good education from the supplementary school program, we had second generation of children. They had children and they were coming back. But the fire, it was a shock to all of us. I think we're still we still haven't fully recovered, because although when you open the building, it still smells of smoke.
Still got the smoke after
and
2 years.
yeah, and
Just
the
been
reminder,
redecorated, painted.
not everywhere. You know what the people who insure these buildings are like, so they do what they feel like they want to do.
So you had to close, yeah?
Yeah.
How long did you close for?
The supplementary school closed for a good few months, nearly a year. But when we started back, since we started back, things haven't been very good, because we've lost a lot of clients, users, call them what you may, families to other providers, and
But because you closed that to go and find something else.
yeah,
so.
and even so, I think that may not have been the full reason, because schools are now, we are now in competition with schools. We haven't got the resources. A lot of the schools are doing booster classes, they're doing after school things, and I think it's all, some of it's all modeled on supplementary school, kind of, you know. But so it's hard, I think, for parents, if you, especially if you're unemployed, and in the main, sometimes it's those children who need it most, who maybe are seen as at risk of poor outcomes, and so therefore sometimes they find it difficult to pay even the £5 an hour fees that
especially
we charge.
With multiple children as well.
Yeah, and in this current education, economic climate, a lot of people are, making do, and I'm not saying that they're not prioritizing education, but there are other providers out there who are offering them other things.
And for free, so
yeah.
I mean, when they're cutting back, it's usually the supplementary schools one of the first to go.
Yeah.
Which is a shame. So, I mean, what's the future outlook for Claudia Jones?
As an organization, we are hoping that this fire would see us like a phoenix,
Right.
And so I think over the years we've had times when we haven't had any money, and now we haven't had much funding, and we don't get funding to any great extent. But I think the commitment, we're on a mission, and people are committed, and I think with or without money, there are people who are willing to, to continue to offer some support. Although we had to close to the public for a little while with other activities as well. Recently, we were successful in getting a grant from the lottery, in partnership with some other providers, and so we're providing some support for families in Hackney. We just took on 2 new workers. Well, one started, the other one will start in a week time or so.
Take on staff.
2 part-time staff to provide a repairing relationship project, and that is working with parents who have very complex needs. Maybe some of them have, could be anything around mental health, domestic violence, children are not doing well, children having problems in school, breakdown in family relationship. So we'll be offering support primarily to families with children 5 to 10 years of age, trying to, help. So we'll be offering things around family group meetings, or some people call them family group conference, to try and bring families together. We'll be offering training for parents, and trying to work with them, trying to identify their own needs, and see how we can support them to support their children, and helping them to kind of have a better working relationship and understanding with the school that their children attend.
Yeah, because I was at a conference in a school in Canning Town as for head teachers to have a discussion with supplementary schools, like continue and encourage a lot of the supplementary schools to come out there, and the schools were literally begging supplementary schools to get involved now, especially with schools where they have a high intake of students that do not have English as a first language. So a lot of the Polish especially the Albanian schools, they're literally asking them to come into their schools and and help their children. So things have changed. Are changing now. I think mainstream schools are waking up to the fact that supplementary schools do actually provide extra help that they need, and especially around the languages. I mean, like you said before, the mainstream schools some are doing their own Saturday schools and they've got after school clubs. But when it comes to languages, I think they are getting the help from supplementary schools, and some mainstream schools, because I've been on them about this before, but they are starting to sort of recommend at-risk children to supplementary schools for that bit of extra help.
Yeah, and that is a good thing. Unfortunately, some people had woken up and smelled the coffee before now, and were willing to engage with maybe people from the supplementary school movement to come into their schools to assist with some of the things, because we've done so many over the years. Myself, I've gone to so many excluded meetings when children have been excluded from mainstream. Because we were providing that kind of service
so you was doing
before.
You was doing advocacy.
We weren't calling it advocacy at the time, but that's what it was. We invigilated for one young person who was thrown out from a school just before he was taking his GCSE exam. We set up the GCSE exam conditions in our building, and the worker at the time oversaw him did his work, and I think it was last year, they knocked on the door because he needed some help again, and his mum was asking for the worker who was Avis DeLacy at the time, who helped him with that, and he's now studying to be a doctor. And so then therefore, numbers of our children have gone on to great things, really.
Yeah, you've got some success stories you'd like to share?
We've got quite a few. Some of them, gone to some of the better universities. Some of them have got good jobs now, doing various activities. We've extended what was the supplementary school. We over the years, we've now have an annex, which is a music.
Annex sounds so nice, doesn't it?
music. We teach music.
Oh, right.
We started
do you have a music studio?
No, we haven't got, not in that sense. We teach keyboards, piano, instruments. Yeah. Well, theory and practice. We take them for exams, and we teach the violin, guitars, and various other things. At one, when was the Queen? Golden Jubilee. Not the 60th, the 50th. We had our kids. We used to teach the harp, and we had our kids played at Buckingham Palace for the Queen Jubilee. The televisions in London didn't show them, but the border regions television showed them playing there. So we had
pictures.
We didn't. Yeah, we had some pictures, not in the grounds. We couldn't. But one of these days we have to try. Yeah, and so we over the years we've introduced or piggyback onto some things that we've done as we see in the gap, and felt that how else can we support young people, and we're trying to start other things that might help to engage them. So we'll be doing, come September as well, we'll be doing a cultural program for like a year, like a pilot.
Okay.
So we're hoping if any young children in Hackney who about key stage 2 age want to learn to dance the quadrille, if they want to learn to play some of them Caribbean games that their parents seem to have forgotten, and to do a cultural craft thing in the evening, so they're welcome.
Okay, and is there a website for Claudia Jones?
It's under construction at the moment.
Okay,
so
but
it'll be up and running soon.
Okay.
Because unfortunately for us, when things were a bit, somebody went and purchased our domain name.
No.
And when we tried to get it back, they were asking for some ridiculous sums of money. And so we said, they can keep it. So we're just doing that.
Okay, well, you keep NABS informed on the website and your progress, and NABS will do all we can to support you.
Yeah, thanks for your patience as well now. Yeah, because we, sometimes we're not in the office, and we don't have messages that say out of office and things like that. So
Yeah, I'll buy
Yeah.
your answer machine.
yeah, there's one day, but we don't change the thing. And I'm not one for, I don't carry mobile phones and things like
You
that.
don't do mobile phones?
No.
Email? You do email?
I do email, but when I'm in my home
Yeah.
and I'm not down in the office, I switch off.
Of
Because
course.
it's my only time when I'm, you know.
That's your sanctuary. Why
Yeah,
not indeed?
yeah. To reduce, yeah.
Okay, Hazel from Claudia Jones Supplementary School, thank you very much for coming in for
You're
this
welcome.
interview.
You're welcome.
I'll get you a copy of this as well.
Thank you.
If we use it, I'll let you know.
Thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Mm.